afternoon, Suave afternoon. This is Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, and creator. Hope you guys having a suaveless day.
Yeah, and with that, let's commence the pay.
Okay, I'm so suavelous, you so suavelous.
Together we can fix the trauma that's befallen us.
Divine social interactions remains marvelous.
Mind-blowing, suavelicious talk, higher consciousness. But think, let not your hearts be troubled, Dr. Brother Suave.
Divine light give you double.
Greetings, this is Dr. Brother Suave, your mind-blowing, thought-provoking, and eye-opening on-air personality, life coach, psychotherapist, author, creator, and you're a host of Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. So excited about tonight's show. Listen, I'm just really excited. You know, I'm a little exhausted, but I'm excited in so many different ways. Just want to share this past Friday, the last of the Mohicans, my son, Giovanni, he graduated from high school. It was a great feeling. You know, it was always a great feeling to see your child make a major accomplishment, one of their first credentials. And so he graduated from, I think it's Somerset Academy. It's a charter school. And it's, you know, when you reflect back, man, it's just like my cheeks are sore because I'm just so grateful, so happy for him. I'm proud of him. And it was a great thing, you know. He'll be attending Lynn University. And I'm just super excited. We had a campus visit, man. That's a beautiful campus, I'm telling you. It's a wonderful campus. It has a lot of support systems, and I'm just happy. You know, it's just happy to see your son, your child graduate. And then, you know, he's looking forward to his educational journey. He wants to be an attorney. And so he's going pre-law. So I'm happy for him. And also, as the journey itself was, wasn't going to let anything destroy that great moment because I definitely had some challenges with traveling. I got home about 3:15 this morning, only to have my car wouldn't crank up. So I got home, I had to get right back up and go get the car. But again, all in all, I wasn't going to let something small like that discourage me about being happy because I'm on this high about my son graduating. Also, about 48 hours, man, I also got another opportunity to have a great feeling. I normally like do some reels and posts and something like that. But they only like sometimes 800, 900, 500, you know. But this time I have about 35,000 views, and I never had it that high. So I'm a little excited about it, you know. May not be many to others, but I'm always being grateful for some of the strides I'm making professionally. And so I ask you guys continue to support me. And I'm glad and grateful for everything that happens in my life as a professional. Also as a man. And that's why I often internalize I'm proud of you, Black man. And so I'm happy about my drive and my determination. So this week, we're going to continue Black Women's Dialogue. We've been really enjoying this month, this season, and all these episodes. So tonight, we're going to continue. So tonight, we're going to have a very special guest. Her name is Tracie, the research coach, Randolph. And she is a wonderful and powerful woman. So I'm going to read something about her. She's a certified health coach, a life coach, a personal trainer, a best-selling global author, a speaker, a survivor, and a mother. Her passion for health, nutrition, and fitness, and overall holistic wellness was born from her own struggles with breast cancer. She perceived having cancer as one of the most amazing events that ever happened in her life, leading her to a life of purpose to point others towards optimal health. She is a 4-time author, having co-authored a best-selling women's empowerment book called Break the Mold and Make the Difference. Also, she wrote Level Up, a handbook to unleash your greatness, spiritual fitness for survivors, and how to turn your struggles into strength. That's the second edition. And also a handbook called Developing Human Equity, World Civility, and the Missing Element. So, man, without further ado, we're going to welcome our wonderful, talented, and brilliant guest, the research coach, Tracie Randolph.
Hey there. That was such a
Hey,
great introduction. I'm like, what's he talking about? Is that me?
I'm talking to the Suave Amazing Reset Coach. Welcome, 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 welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on your show, Dr. Brother Suave.
Yes, it's an honor, man. It's always an honor. I love your platform. I love what you do. You know, I follow you. I see all the amazing things that you do, um, and I just I'm just honored to have you. You know, I always like when you invite me to your show and the content, and so I just want to be able to allow my audience to see the greatness in you and share some things about you.
I appreciate that. We'll be calling you again, actually, for Gym Talk, just so you know.
So, Tracy,
Yes.
the Reset Coach. Tell us about how did you come up with that?
Ah, so after breast cancer, I started coaching women in an organization called Women Empowered International, which I am a
Mm,
part of their planning committee. And what kept coming up as women were speaking about the mistakes that they were making, what they called mistakes, and I just kept saying to them, "You always have the opportunity to reset." And it really just became my mantra from there. But I just wanted them to know, don't beat yourself up about the mistakes you make or the things that you didn't do today. Start again tomorrow. So that's how the reset came about. And I'm like, I'm the reset coach. That's it. And that's
that's a
really
great.
that's really all it was.
Wow. I like that because a lot of times people are imprisoned by their mistakes and they stay there. It
Hmm.
is almost like when you say recoach, a reset, it just, you know what it reminds me of?
What's that?
Um, when you make mistake or you sin, you repent and
Hmm.
start all over again. You know,
Yeah.
you starting all over again. You had a sin, you feeling some type of remorse, you repent and keep
Yeah.
it moving. You don't
Yeah.
hold yourself a prisoner to past mistakes. You know, you just reset, repent, and move on. And I love
Absolutely.
that mantra.
And wellness is it's a lifetime journey. It's
Yes, it
not
is.
just, for a short period of time. Like I have a program that's 90 days, but really the continuation of wellness goes far past 90 days. So it's a
Absolutely.
lifetime journey.
Yes, yes. And I think sometimes, people do some things like for an event. And that's also when it comes to like self love. And, that's my mantra. A
Hmm.
lot of people just do it for others, but this is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
You know, this is a lifestyle. It's not for other people, but it's for yourself. Because I always say one life, one heart, one soul. Take it at all costs.
Absolutely.
So your health is definitely your wealth. So so let me ask you something.
Hmm.
You when I was reading, because I'm gonna go into the books, but I wanted to know was a best-selling global author.
Hmm.
That sounds super impressive. I'm serious. Global up in his piece.
Global.
You know, it's just like
So what's the question there? What's the
so.
question?
What is this global author is? It's like international, like you know.
Absolutely international. So of course, the book, Level Up, Unleash Your, the handbook to unleash your greatness.
Mhm.
That was done by a publisher in Canada. I had the opportunity to speak in regards to that book, and that's how that came about. And then again, the fourth book is about world civility, and that book goes into Africa with. The publisher again that was from Canada, but then also a world civility leader who is actually, he has so many accolades, but Dr. Clyde Rivers. That book was done
Ah,
in collaboration with him, and that book is going into the different countries that he goes into in Africa to help the people there. So,
okay.
yeah.
Wow, man, you an international superstar up in this piece. Hey, y'all, listen. I have on my as my guest a international superstar. Y'all understand what y'all missing? So listen, we just gonna dialogue about just a few things because I read, so I wanted to just go into um what brought you into the passion for health, nutrition, fitness, and overall wellness. I know that you mentioned I was reading about being a survivor. Was the driving force, or this was something that you was dabbling in like many of us?
So I was definitely dabbling
Mm-hmm.
in it, but not consistent with it at all. I was working very stressful job in corporate America. So I would work out when I could. I would, I didn't eat well at all. Let me just be completely transparent about that. I did not. I grew up in a family who, was raised in the South, cooked very Southern, soul food style food with a lot of butter and sugar. And so I was not raised on healthy food, and I didn't, and I was always thin. So I equated at that time thin to healthy because I didn't even educate myself on health because I always thought I was healthy, right? Because
Yeah.
I was mobile and I was very active, but I didn't really become passionate about health and wellness until I was forced to, and that was because of breast cancer.
Yes. I think sometimes a lot of us are under the impression because we look healthy that we are healthy. Let me
Mhm.
tell you, blood is blood.
Mhm.
And some people got good blood, some people have bad blood.
Mhm.
You can't, the body is going to be eventually break down. And anytime anything is going unaddressed, it progressively gets worse. So you may see that's genetics. You may come from a family who ate bad but was slender. But
Yeah.
then you may have a family who's big and healthy,
Yeah.
and I think sometimes a lot of us think because we are small, we're not realizing that has nothing to do with our eating patterns, but it has a lot to do with genetics. And then
Absolutely.
when you stay healthy or when you do routine checkups, that's why it's so important to do those routine checkups. And then you find out things. Sometimes we find out too late and we're like, hey, I didn't know I was eating that bad. And
Yeah.
being educating, like you said, educating ourselves like the breads and the rices and realize those things are not always in our best interest and they're addictive.
Right. And I would even challenge the genetics a little bit just because sometimes it's the food that you eat is just not for your body, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's body is different. So sometimes it's not just the genetics, it's a combination of genetics
Mhm.
and the foods that you really don't understand don't work well for your body.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what do you think a food that you would know that wouldn't work well for your body and it eventually destroys your body?
It could be anything, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, the normal things that people think about is like the breads, the carbs, but that may not be it. It could be a certain fruit that doesn't agree with you. It could be, an avocado and that particular fat doesn't agree with you. It could be a particular nut or a combination of nuts. It could be beans. It just really depends on how your body processes that particular food. And it may
Oh,
not be, it may not go through your digestive system very well. So
okay.
yeah.
Now, this could be a funny question, but I'm serious.
Hmm.
What about ackee and saltfish or conch salad?
Well, does that agree? Does that agree with you?
Yes, but I'm just saying, it's nothing in research says that is
No,
bad for like those breads and
yeah,
rices and stuff like that.
no.
Okay.
And you won't see this in research unless you work with your doctor to research what's working well for you, right? Because it's not just that conch may not be good for somebody else. And aki, what is it?
Ackee and saltfish.
Aki and saltfish. Yes,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's one of my two favorite foods.
Yeah, so that may not be well for somebody else. And that's
Uh-huh.
delicious. Very salty, but it's delicious though.
Yes, but you got to soak it well and get a
Hmm.
lot of that salt out, and it won't be too
Hmm.
salty. Okay, I'm
Okay.
just making sure because I was like, oh my god, it'll be a struggle.
No, but here's the thing, right? You have to pay attention to what is that particular food doing to my body. If you find that you're eating something and you start to get headaches, your body starts to feel inflamed, you feel bloated, you may get a rash, something may be happening, your stomach is just unsettled. If there's something happening to you after you eat a certain food, then that's when you need to explore, all right, is this something that I should be eating? There's I'm pretty sure you probably heard of Ayurvedic medicine practices, right?
Mhm.
Ayurvedic practices, I should say. Well, they do body types, and you take this test and you find out what they call is your dosha, and you figure out like what's good for your body, what's not good for your body based on their tests. I found out that spicy food is not good for my body when I did these tests. And I was getting reactions before I took this test. I was getting reactions from spicy food because my body normally runs hot. I'm very high metabolism, high energy, body runs hot. So anything spicy gets me inflamed. I have to cool my body down with things like melons and mangoes and pineapples and things like that. I didn't know that until I started looking into what foods are good for my body. Now
Yeah,
that may not affect other people in the same way.
yeah. Yeah, I found out my kryptonite was ice cream or
Mm-hmm.
anything that had milk in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about, I don't know, does my stomach have a brain of its own?
Mm-hmm.
Because I would drink almond milk and it would react just like cow milk. I would drink some other types and it still would react. I would have the ice cream that's not, still will react the same way. So it was something, I guess, compound that will be a milk substitute or something. And I just had to really just give up on ice cream or any milk products. You
Yeah.
know, I realized that every time I would eat it, I would have stomach pains and constantly have to use the restroom.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you're right, just paying attention to your body after that because it will happen every time.
Absolutely. See, there you have it.
Yes, yes, man. I'm happy. So listen, because there's a few things I want us to get into, but I
Mm-hmm.
want us to step out for a quick second and go to station identifications. And we'll be right back with Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave.
All right.
This is Dr. Brother Suave. We're back. Before I get into and continue the dialogue, I just want to give special shout outs to my cousin, Arthur Prince and Fred Jones. And also want to give a special Juneteenth to everyone. And also happy Father's Day this coming weekend. Just want to acknowledge the great fathers. We are truly needed. And all the great fathers out there, I'm very proud of you guys. Continue to do the great job that you do. Also, continue to sow into the lives of your children because they need you and they are our future, and they will appreciate it. They may not understand what you're doing right now, but just continue to walk the walk, and I'm going to tell you, it's all worth it. You know, God didn't say it was going to be easy, but it's definitely worth it. So I just want to give a special shout out and tell all of the brothers out there, happy Father's Day. So we're back. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave with our very special guest, Tracie, the Reset Coach Randolph. And so when we was talking about foods and everything prior to us going on to station identification, I wanted to just go into, I don't know if this was something, but you did mention it in your bio about your journey with breast cancer. And so I wanted to relate that to, was it anything like genetic, or was this something as a result of eating healthy, or was it anything that brought on this breast cancer?
Sure. So I have determined, right? Medically, they can't really tell me. They can tell you if it's hereditary or not, which I did take those tests and it was not hereditary. So I really determined that it was a combination of stress, along with the poor eating habits and the lack of exercise, because I was just in a time period where my life was very stressful. I was a single mom working a very demanding corporate job, and just the stress of life. I thought I was managing it well, right? But that just wasn't the case. And when I found, and then I just believe it was my wake up call, to be perfectly honest with you. It was just meant to happen. But I think environmentally, it was just what was happening in my life at the time.
Okay, great.
Hmm.
So it's safe to say that when you reinvented yourself or reset yourself
Hmm.
um, through having a passion for a healthy lifestyle, you basically did a self inventory and said, "I need to do some change."
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which led me here today. Now it did take me, it took me no time at all to make the change when it came to changing my eating habits and exercising. I'm a person that can do the cold turkey type of method. So
Yes,
when I'm, especially when my back is against the wall, right?
yes,
I was really forced into it, but I just decided that okay, I'm giving up. A lot of the foods that I used to eat, the sugar, the butters, the dairy, like you mentioned earlier, a lot of the meat, which I had started before breast cancer, but I just decided I'm going to change my eating habits completely. I'm going to start
yes,
exercising, and then I just fell in love with it and became really avid about making sure that I was moving my body on a regular basis. So I just said, you know what, this is it. I said to God, I'm like, I'm surrendering cancer to you. You just show me how you want me to handle it. And I just fell in love with everything. I fell in love with learning about food. I fell in love with, like I mentioned earlier, just exercise. I fell in love with it all. I fell in love with just changing my mindset, even around corporate America and working and being able to just take moments to just breathe, honestly, to release stress. And I just figured, wow, this is great. This is amazing. And then I said to myself, this is what I'm supposed to do. So I went
yes,
to a certification program, got my health coach certification, my life coach certification. And I put more stress on myself at that time because I was working the corporate job and doing two certification programs at the same time. But
hmm
I was loving it. I just had a new
yes,
attitude about it and just a new mindset altogether.
yes,
Hmm.
yes. And the thing is, again, I'm always on the spiritual, social, and clinical perspective. And one of the things I'm always telling people is that sometimes you got to go cold turkey. Many people, words are powerful. Many people say, "Well, I can't change overnight," or they say, "Well, I'm not going to do this because I don't like what you said." And I told people, they say it ain't what you say, it's how you say it. But life can talk to you in a way that's saying, if you don't change right now, cold turkey, your life is in jeopardy. And a
Hmm.
lot of people don't understand, and they say, "Well, I'm not changing," and I'm like, "Okay, well, guess what? Remember, one heart, one soul, one life." It's not when you being passive aggressive saying you're not going to change, it hurts no one except you. And
Yes.
so, like a doctor say, if you smoke one more cigarette, um, you're gonna die tomorrow. And people say, "Well, I don't like how you said it." It's not about how you say it. These
Hmm.
are things that's going to affect you and only you. And people have to be mindful of the cold turkey mantra, because some things are it's about your life,
Yeah.
and so when you're talking about the reset, I love that mindset. And speaking of mindset, um I wanted to ask you, those benefits, because you was mentioning mindset, and I think sometimes people have to recognize that changes are needed,
Yeah.
and so it starts here.
Hmm.
You know, you can eat better, but it starts here and having a plan. So let's discuss that. So, what do you think about in terms of the mindset, the paradigm makeover and changing? Because it
Yeah.
starts from the inside out.
Absolutely. So I want to go back just a little bit because I want to talk about just being realistic with who you are too, though, because everybody doesn't do things cold turkey, right?
Yes, of
So
course.
I want everybody out there to recognize and understand who they are and how they operate, also, so that they can make the changes that they need to make. And maybe it doesn't look like the reset coach's method or the Dr. Brother Suave's method, but they understand that if I start now to make the changes, and if I do it, maybe they're just releasing one food that doesn't work for them, right? And they recognize that the one that has the most detriment to their physical health, and they say, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to change that particular habit, as long as they are moving forward and progressing forward to change. But I think people need to be, this is mindset too, be really realistic about who you are and how you operate, because that makes a big difference on your ability to sustain the lifestyle changes that you need to make in order to stay healthy. So that's one part of mindset, just being realistic with who you are. The other part of it is being positive about, what's to come, right? Being positive about the outcomes that that you need to get, understanding that it's not going to happen today or right away, potentially, right? But, just being positive about making those changes and knowing and saying, being realistic about, okay, this I can do. I'm going to stay positive about it because it's going to happen for me. So that's the other part of just changing the mindset, is remaining positive. And I would say I'm gonna go a little radical here, right? And this is NPNTv, but I'm gonna say, just adopt that badass mindset. Like, I can do anything that I decide and I put my mind to and I put into action, because you can't just say it in your mind and not actually do anything with it. But anything that I put into action that I can actually achieve. And if you become a badass at that, you make the choice and the decision to do it, your life will start to change.
Yes, absolutely. I believe that. I believe that. I do. Because I in fact, I posted a post about 6 days ago, and I say I am greatness, and I say you become what you believe. And I thought that was something, like a couple of some people said, don't get confident, arrogance mixed up with confidence, and vice versa. You can speak that stuff and say, hey, I'm bad to the bone. And again, it's the mindset,
Right.
it starts here.
That's
right. and you can accomplish anything you want. You just gotta, before I met you, I told you, when I met you, I told you, I'm like, I used to see this person because I didn't know. I'm like, why does this keep popping up, this lady exercising? She's a monster. Because I'm like, I said, I remember I tried to do something. I can't hang out. You never know. And then I think that's when we met, and I'm like, dang, and learned. And then I see the people who follow you and your program, and it's just it's I love it, and it's changing people's lives. And again, I guess you teach them how to get the right mindset, because these people are seen to be really committed.
Yeah.
I commend you for, I guess, getting them in that place and have that right mindset. And it's, a little bit at a time, as long as we're moving forward.
Yeah. And just to mention, like, one of my clients, because this is the part that I love, I'm not so focused on the weight loss part of it, because that will happen. And I think particularly for women, they get hung up on the weight loss portion of it. But I have a client right now who changed her glucose numbers. That and is not on medication. She was pre-diabetic, and she said, I don't want to get on medication. I want to change my lifestyle, and I want to do it holistically. And she did. And her numbers are great now. And she's starting to lose weight. The weight is coming off slow. But when she started the exercise program, she couldn't jump. She couldn't do jumping jacks. She had to do the modified version. And she couldn't do those jumping squats. Now she's jumping, so the strength that comes from it, and the energy that comes from it, and the stamina and the endurance that comes from it, that's more important. And your heart being able to endure, right? That's more important than the weight loss, because the weight loss will happen over time. But it's really just becoming healthy internally.
Yes, and those things, it is not just like you say, the weight, increasing your health, but also building self-esteem.
Yeah.
Yes. And so my question is to you: do you think losing weight or having better eating habits improves a person's self-esteem?
Absolutely. And I know we were talking about this a little bit prior to the show, but absolutely. Your confidence increases tremendously, especially when that's really, and I'll say secretly sometimes, right? Like we talked about, secretly, those are the results that you want, and you may not verbalize that out loud, But when those are the results that when you want to get back into those skinny jeans or that
Mm-hmm.
little black dress, and I'm speaking for the women right there, right? Or the guys want to wear the muscle shirts, but it definitely does. It definitely boosts your confidence. You walk different, you feel different, you present yourself different,
Yes.
both in what you choose to wear and just your whole attitude, and that attitude of confidence starts to come out. So it definitely
Absolutely.
improves. Yeah.
Yeah. Because people tend to feel more confident when they look good.
Mhm.
When they're feeling their weight and their clothes, they start to explore things that, like you were saying, the pants, the jeans that they always wanted to wear.
Yeah.
They have those pictures in high school, like, I just want to get, this is my goal.
Yeah.
Because because when I was life coaching, and like, I remember incorporating something that I learned from how, ladies would feel good about themselves, and as they
Mhm.
do certain, and so my character, Suave E Debonair, and I said, "Baby, when you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, it's all good, and it's all good because I just got paid good." And so all that, it's so good because, believe it or not, the world is so shallow, and sometimes
Yeah.
people get economic opportunities, they get professional opportunities,
Mhm.
and these people can see the results of confidence,
Mhm.
self-esteem, self-worth. And
Mhm.
then, and then you see they start changing their lifestyle, better eating habits, and they know how they start to realize that this is hard work and I'm keeping it up. And it's not just the eating, but it's my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I noticed that really, really improves them. And then also a lot of times it definitely improves their social life.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know,
And that's what people what they realize after they get results is just being able to perform. It increases your productivity. So, if you need to perform at work, at home, even you're not so fatigued, you feel confident about, even what you're showing your children when you start to look
yes,
feel more confident, like all of that comes out, and it affects every part of your life as well.
yes. Even on the when I define self-love, the
Hmm.
last one is self-preservation. We're
Hmm.
talking about healthy lifestyle,
Yeah,
mentally, emotionally, and so they start eating well, and it for the most part, it increase your life with longevity.
absolutely.
Because you did an amazing thing with the lady. You were saying the weight's going to come off, but her numbers improved.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
yes,
And if we
yes,
could just mention that a little bit too, I always tell
yes.
people to go find out their numbers, and
Mhm.
have your doctor go through those numbers with you thoroughly, because most doctors don't do that. So most people don't even understand where they are from a glucose level, from a,
Yeah,
blood pressure level, their heart rates, their cholesterol. Like most people don't understand that. So if you have your doctor do the blood work and then have them walk you through every line item that's there so that you understand where you are, and then ask them where you need to be with those numbers as well.
yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that. Because I always stayed healthy. And
Mhm.
I remember beginning of the pandemic, and
Mhm.
when you stay in the house, I wasn't going anywhere. And remember how people was buying all this food, they didn't know what to do. And I remember just eating bad,
Yeah.
you know, and I wasn't going to the gym and just eating bad. And I remember feeling funny. I'm like, this is just not what I do. But
Mhm.
I was eating bad and I was feeling sluggish. I was just feeling all kind of unswaptabulous.
Mhm.
and so and so then I started to use the restroom a lot. Then I was using it all through the night. And I'm like, what is going on with my body?
Mhm.
Then I was like constantly being dehydrated.
Mhm.
And you remember you say recognize and paying attention to your body?
Mhm.
All those things I was writing down. I was like, why am I using the restroom so much? Why am I so dehydrated? Why? And find out that my blood sugar levels was high. And I was like, and he was like, yo, and this is the funny thing,
Mhm.
a person like me who always stayed healthy. And they told me my blood sugar levels was stroke level. I'm like, huh?
Mhm.
Wait, really? And I remember they were like, hey, you're gonna have to do this. And I was like, nah, y'all not gonna put me on some what do you call those needles?
Mhm. Yeah, the
Uh,
insulin shots.
yes. I'm like,
Mhm.
nah, I'm not doing that. They said, well, we're gonna have to do something. And then they They put me on some metformin, and I was like, hey, what is this? I'm using the restroom every freaking 20 minutes. I can't go anywhere, but I shouldn't have because, the pandemic. And then I'm like, you know what? I just got rid of everything and came back at my numbers, and they was like, yeah, it took like 2 visits,
Mm-hmm.
and they decreased the dosage, and then I'm like, okay, and then I was back to normal, but I learned because I didn't know anything about the C1 something,
Yeah.
A1C or something.
A1C.
It was the blood levels, but it was still the A1C, and I'm like, what is that? And they was telling me it had to be this, and I'm like, oh my God, so it's more than just that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to bring those numbers down, and it was it.
Yeah.
But it was education, because here is a person who stayed in shape, was a vegetarian for like 28 years, and
Mm-hmm.
always ate well, don't drink, never smoked or did anything, and I'm just a wateraholic. And that, as a result of that experience, it just really gave me a reality check.
Yeah.
And again, I was never overweight, but I noticed my body had changed, you know. And
Yeah.
again, what you do is amazing, and I appreciate it. So I want you to talk
Appreciate it.
about some of the things that can be habit forming, because again, this is a Black women's dialogue, so we want to focus on women's health and
Mm-hmm.
how to stay focused and how to increase better holistic living. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll mention the first one, and you were just talking about your A1C and those sugar levels, the glucose levels. That sugar is habit forming, right? It's a drug.
Mhm.
it's
Yes.
it's scientifically proven, right? It affects you the same way, as cocaine or heroin or something of that nature. So it is a drug, and that's what you want to reduce. You want to make sure that you are reducing your sugar. It causes inflammation and so many different diseases. If you look it up, you can attribute sugar to a lot of the illnesses that we have
Mhm.
here today, particularly in the United States. So that's one. That's a big one. That's habit forming. And then, a lack of movement is habit forming. And I know a lot of people have said that, because of the pandemic, they didn't move. That was the reason why I started the virtual fitness classes, to just keep women motivated. I was actually working in a gym prior to COVID, and then everything shut down. And I just connected with a group of women and just
Mhm.
said, hey, let's get on Zoom and let's work out. Let's feel better. Let's, continue to make sure that we are getting movement even during this pandemic, and just to boost our mood too, and
Yes.
our immune system through it all, because nobody really knew in the beginning what was happening with the virus. So that's how I started that. But movement is definitely a big one as well. I know
Mhm.
people, they're busy, they're running around, there's a lack of movement. The other one that I want to mention, which is huge, and this was a problem for me, definitely when I was in corporate America, is just lack of sleep. Most
Yes.
people do not get enough sleep, and sleep is so essential for allowing your body to just refresh and restore and replenish. And, a lot of our organs need that time of rest just to be able to replenish. It allows your digestive system also to have some rest, because once you wake up in the morning and you start that first meal, your digestive system starts to processing everything. Eat from the first chew, it does. And you need the digestive system is another part of this, right? That people don't really consider. It's not habit forming, it's a lack of habit of making sure that you're eating properly throughout the day to be able to jumpstart your digestive system. So those are the things that I would say: making sure that you're reducing that sugar, getting your movement. Uh,
Mhm.
what was the other
You-
one? That
Lack of
sleep,
sleep.
and then making sure that you're eating properly so that you can allow your digestive system to
Yes.
operate the way that it's supposed to.
Now, here's the thing. When you mentioned the lack of sleep,
Hmm.
um, a lot of people, when they get older, they tend to only get 5 hours of sleep. And
Hmm.
since I, being 40 plus 15, what?
No,
Being
I
40
love
years
I
old,
love that. I say I'm 25 16 times over. So
what? I know. I'm just saying. I'm only 40, so I'm not. We just. So anyway, I can't sleep. over. I can't sleep 8 hours, and I know I'm not the only one.
Mm-hmm. But then you have to.
What I get, sleeping patterns are just erratic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean,
But
that's why a
why?
lot of times. I'm sorry.
No, I was asking why. Do you know why?
I don't have that answer.
Mm.
I don't,
Mm-hmm.
because I just know, um, when I first retired in 2006, before I
Mm-hmm.
reinvented myself, I noticed my sleeping habits were very weird, and now I don't, like, I go to bed early sometimes, but that's why it's so easy for me to work in the middle of the night
Mm-hmm.
while people sleeping. I'm working and doing things and being creative. However, I noticed the changes when I got older, and I talk to a lot of other people, and they have these erratic sleeping habits. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody that just actually sleep 8 hours unless they're a teenager.
Yeah, I think that's a conditioning, though, really, to be perfectly honest with you, because when we start to work, and then we have families, and the lack of sleep just comes naturally with everything that we're doing when we're so busy that I believe that it just continues. Listen, our body is supposed to be in rhythm with nature. Right. So technically, you're supposed to go to bed, at the latest, probably by 10 o'clock, and wake up around 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. So if you're in rhythm with, the moon, and your circadian rhythm is working properly, that's when we're supposed to go to sleep. But I think we're conditioned not to sleep that long. And I'm going to include myself in that too,
Yeah, but how we condition ourselves? Explain.
because it's a habit, right? So once you create the habit, that's what your body is used to now. That's all. It's just the conditioning, because you've had so many years of working, taking care of your family, and then just not getting the 8 hours of sleep, so to speak.
Hmm. Okay.
So how do you change that habit? Can you meditate to make yourself go to sleep at, say 10 or so at night? And you may not even be getting that, what they call that REM sleep, right? Where you're getting that restful sleep.
I only
So
get that when I'm completely exhausted.
mm-hmm.
I know, I was having some issues sleeping that was even more different from my other sleeping habits,
Mm-hmm.
and I was concerned about it. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And because, over the years of doing practicing mental health, and
Mm-hmm.
all these years, I knew that my sleeping patterns were even more erratic.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I know what to do and what to go. It's not something you just do with therapy. So I went, because I know what to do. I mean, I'm a psychotherapist. I know what to do. So I'm like, man, but I didn't know what was going on with me. And I went to a psychiatrist to ask them, and guess what he did? It was so incredible. That's why I tell people, please don't get mental health mixed up with all the craziness.
Mm-hmm.
So he was asking me, what's up with my sleeping habits? And I was like, well, I'm not sleeping like I used to. And so he says, do you snore? And I'm like, when I'm exhausted, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ready for this? He said, you have a like one of those breathing sleep machines? I said, yeah. So he said, though, that means you was diagnosed with sleep apnea. I said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He said, watch this. Do you use it? No, I don't. Here, no, I don't. And he was like, use it, because he was a cool dog. He was like, use
Right.
it.
Right.
They go, they called me about 2 weeks. Called him like, first of all, I'm a professional and you're not going to embarrass me like this. And I said, man, okay. He said, that's it.
And it
But
worked
the
for
thing
you.
is, it's funny because, I'm so transparent, and I laugh when people like, oh, I'm not going to a psychiatrist. I'm not crazy. I'm like, bruh, that's why we try to let people know it's psycho education,
Mm-hmm.
trauma education. For years, mental health been practiced the wrong way. And now people have to be educated and learn this information could change your life. Learn how to identify with issues, learn how to identify with your triggers, your past traumas, and everything. And mine was just sleeping, but I knew I couldn't. I didn't have to go to a mechanic for, I didn't have to go
Mm-hmm.
to someone to pray for me. I had to go to someone, and I knew that this would they would know about it. That's because they described medications and everything. So I
Yeah.
was trying to figure out because I wanted to sleep, you know, and it was just a matter of using my machine and help me get the rest that I needed. And guess
Mm-hmm.
what? The headaches went away.
Mm-hmm.
I was more clear-minded, and it was just a easy resolve through
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
that's what sleep does for your body. So it could be, something physical, it could be something psychological, or it could be the conditioning that I was talking about earlier. But you still need the sleep, you still need the sleep.
yeah, yeah, and it helped my mind to be a little more clear, and
Yeah.
I felt
And
rested.
I like that you mentioned that too, because there, is this just stereotype about therapy, right? And
Yeah,
it's so good for you, but most people just won't do it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
again, it's about their life because I said on a couple of shows, and I said at this show, anything go unaddressed, it progressively gets worse.
Hmm.
So you have to address that. Remember, it's your life,
Yeah.
no one else's. So it could be mental health, physical health,
Hmm.
spiritual health. If you don't address it, it's just going to get worse.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah. Listen, I have coaches for different areas of my life, and
yes,
I believe in it.
yes. Mentors, coaches.
Yeah.
You need them because accountability partners.
Hmm.
Because what I've noticed in the mental health profession, it's so many people have so many issues. They never necessarily address their issues. They just went and got credentials.
Hmm.
And I guess that they felt that going to school and learning about it, their problems would go away, but they never address their problems.
Hmm.
You just learn, and anyone knows psychology is a very interesting profession.
Hmm.
It is very interesting. And you learn like, oh my God. But it's not just to be fascinated about it.
Yeah.
It serves a purpose. And so I've seen in grad school, I've seen people, and I sit there, I'm like, wow, you had a lot of trauma. And again, you know who I am. I'm like, did you ever go to therapy?
Hmm.
No. Oh wow. So there's a probability there's going to be some counter transference going on in sessions. But
Hmm.
hey, you get mad because again, accountability. I don't want to hear that.
Hmm.
And what happens? Again, unaddressed, progressive gets worse, and we all know it shows up and show out.
Yeah. And I have a question for you in regards to that. Do you believe, because that person that you were talking about and describing got that education in psychology, do you believe they can take themselves through the process of healing?
No, remember, there's always a possibility, but remember
Hmm.
probabilities.
Hmm.
And one thing about professionals, healers, it's just like we all know. You ever see medical doctors have huge egos,
Hmm.
and so people have a lot of information.
Yeah.
But again, one of the things is being transparent with yourself,
Hmm.
have an accountability partner, and even in my book, "Lust, Child, Children Born Out of Lust, Not Love," I talk about having an accountability partner. They're
Hmm.
not going to agree with you on every point, every perspective, every idea, but they will be that person who will be able to hold you accountable in that time of need. And so you have healers and mental health professionals, psychotherapists are so educated when it comes to giving advice, but not taking it.
Hmm.
And like me, if I have something, one, I have a core professionals and that we talk, and I'm like, hey man,
Hmm.
it's just like people say, well, the intimacy coach or doing relationships, and I'm very transparent with these people about things. I'm like, okay, how can I improve here? How can I improve there? And I discuss it, because ultimately, because sometimes as objective as I am as a human being,
Hmm.
I'm still a human being, and there may be some things that may make me be subjective, and it's very small,
Hmm.
but I still need an accountability partner, and I use that. And,
Yeah.
and my professionals, like I'm going to share this, and everyone's listening to it. And I remember it was something I was going through, and remember my self awareness,
Hmm.
and everyone knows me. I'm very neat, I'm very clean, I'm very organized.
Hmm.
And man, I was noticing for like 3 days. I'm like, dang, I didn't wash dishes. I was laying on the couch
Hmm.
and I didn't make the bed. 3 days snuck up on me, which was obviously depression.
Hmm.
And because I told you I'm very aware, but even a person like me, I'm glad I knew the symptoms. I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. This is 3 days. I called one of my professional friends and I said, man, do you realize? I shared this. I'm like, man, I must be depressed. He said, of course, you know that, Suave. You got to shake that jive off,
Yeah.
But again, talking because we have a code.
Yeah.
We're not friends during this time. You understand?
That's right.
And it was just questioning me because again, we spend so much time helping and giving others. Sometimes we don't take time. And again, you know me, I'm always about self-love and doing something. But as a human being, I'm going to err. I'm going to minimize that error. Like some people say, well, everyone makes mistakes. I say, I know I do, but I minimize it because I have a level of self-awareness. And so I was like, and when they talked to me, Brandon, I said, oh, and I took care of everything, but depression snuck up on me.
Yeah.
And just like weight, bad eating habits, and these are the things. Again, you have to reset your mind and get back on point, stay centered, and have accountability partners.
Yeah. And as long as you don't stay there, right? That self-awareness comes with your ability to learn from your experience, to minimize, like you said, it doesn't mean it won't happen again, but just to minimize how much it happens and continuing to stay aware of, the signs that can tell you, okay, I need to do something different here now. Like you said, you engaged, another professional.
But this is why I say psychoeducation, because you have to know the signs and symptoms. We're talking about a person super neat, been practicing for years, and 3 days snuck up on me. So suppose I was like a person who didn't know the signs of depression.
Right.
And that's why I tell people it's education, and you have to pay attention. It's 3 days now. That's a long time for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm very neat, and I'm like, whoa, it stuck up on me. Oh heck no, I'm gonna, I'm like shucks, So imagine, just like eating right, like how not understanding healthy lifestyle is a lifestyle, and then the person said, well, he slipped. They stopped drinking. They said, well, just have one drink, it'll be okay. They haven't drank in 6 weeks, and they said, well, man, listen, I haven't had a drink 6 weeks. I had one last week. I had one the week before last. This is just not going to hurt. But now you went from 6 weeks of not having, and now in the past 3 weeks, you didn't have one drink per week. And like you were saying, knowing your limitations, and knowing who you are, but sometimes people backslide and start picking up old habits, and they thought it was a lifestyle, but they got comfortable.
Yeah. And really, a lot of times they don't recognize the effects of backsliding, right? It is a slippery slope, right? And they think that they can handle it, but that's usually not the case. And eating is very much like alcohol or, drugs as well, right? I mean, it definitely is. You backslide and then you have to start all over again. That's what the reset is all about. But yeah.
So listen, we got about 6 minutes, but I want to, for the next few minutes, I want to talk about, and I was talking about people tend to feel more confident when they're looking good. So let's talk about some of the things when you're talking about improving their social life. Because I could start off with one of my first clients as a life coach. They were extremely overweight. I did some stuff, and they got some procedures done, and I noticed the change. Hands, feet, hair, clothes. You get it? Hands, feet, the hair, and then the clothes. Then, for the first time in their life, they got a compatible male companion. Because remember, they never got that attention. And the attention they got was doing something strange for a change after dark. But then these what? These people,
nice way to put it.
and you know how that really you have low self-worth because on only time they want to see you is doing something strange for some change after dark. But now people actually was taking them serious,
Yeah.
want to date them,
Yeah.
and they like that feeling, because
Yeah.
it's something they never had, but they
Yeah.
realized the work they had to put into it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, it changes the confidence piece of that. People can see that. They can read that. If you're exuding confidence, you're going to attract a different type of person. Um,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Absolutely. And that comes with everything, not just, intimate relationships. It also comes with, your professional life, your entrepreneurial
yes.
life, even your household, right? Your kids, like it affects everything,
Everything.
So once you start to exude that confidence, you feel good about yourself, you start changing, what you're doing in terms of how you present yourself. And like you
Yes,
said, you take care of the outside in terms of, the hair, the nails, the clothes, but then you also have a different attitude and a
yes,
different level of self-respect, right? Not just the esteem, but the respect for yourself as well. So once
absolutely.
that happens, then you attract,
Yeah,
better.
and the thing is, and this is one of the things that it ends up being, that
Hmm.
self-love, and
Hmm.
they start really identifying what real self-love, not what they were just saying it, and ultimately increase their self-esteem,
Yeah.
and then they have their self-respect, so they have a higher standard,
Hmm.
and then right here they start feeling more worthy
Yeah.
because then they more dignified,
That's right.
because then they have more self-preservation,
I love
you
it.
know
Yeah.
so, and because how sometimes people perceive themselves or loving themselves,
Hmm.
but then when you look at those other factors, they're non-existent.
Hmm.
They're just
Hmm.
a word, and not just words about actions. And so I see people really do better, and like you said, they have a whole different clientele
Hmm.
when it comes to their relationships, a
Hmm.
whole different type of person.
Yeah.
And then they, with that standard, they're like, oh, I'm not tolerating this. And now I see how I was before
Hmm.
and how my standards have increased,
Yeah.
because I know that I'm worthy.
Yeah.
You
Even
know?
in even when you look at like their family relationships, all of that
Yeah.
changes, how people
Innocent.
treat you. Yeah.
Yes. The ones who not looking good, overweight, low self-esteem,
Hmm.
they the ones who people just send the children over there. They ask
Hmm.
them to do things, and they're like, well, I'm not dating, I'm not going out. And the people know that.
Hmm.
They take them for granted. But
Hmm.
then when they started feeling good about themselves, it's like putting on their eyeglasses, they start to see a little clearer.
Yeah.
And they start like, hey, I am worthy, I am great. So
Changing the lens, that's for sure.
yeah.
And
So
we have to go back to your self love real quick because I love
okay.
your t-shirt. I love myself some me, right?
Yes.
So I have two of those. I wear those, and people
Yes,
may
thank
think
you.
I'm conceited, but I love me.
Yes,
So I'm gonna
yes,
flaunt it.
and that's the thing, because people been saying it, but actions are not consistent with the word.
Yeah.
Because when people allow people to talk to me any kind of way, treat them any kind of way, be in toxic relationships, abusive relationships, that's not self-love.
Hmm.
There's a whole bunch of other things, but it's not self-love.
Hmm.
They can say it, but they're not defining it.
Yeah.
They're not living it and breathing it.
Yeah.
Yes. So listen, how can people contact you? How can they get on your team and get all swabtabulous every morning? You know, how
Yeah.
can they get your books? Tell the people.
Absolutely. So they can reach out to me at Tracie R at theresetglobal.com. That's my email. And I am on Facebook as Tracie Randolph. I'm on Facebook also as the Reset Coach. On Instagram, you can look me up as Tracie Randolph or the reset underscore the underscore reset underscore coach, or on LinkedIn as Tracie Randolph. So you can find me on those platforms, and also on Web Talk as well as Tracie Randolph. So a few different platforms where people can find me. You can go to theresetcoach.com, and if you hit contact and put your information in, you can find me there as well. So a lot of
Is it
different places where you can get in touch.
and is it anywhere like you have any podcasts that the people can watch
I have two shows.
Yeah, let the people know.
One called The Whole Living Show, which you can see that in my background here, and that's about everything wellness, mind, body, and spirit. We cover it all. Anything that affects your whole life is on that show, and Dr. Brother Suave has been on that show. And then there's another show called Fem Talk that I
What's
do
that
with
about?
3 other ladies, and Fem Talk is about a little bit of everything. It started off as, women coming together talking about things that they would normally talk around the
Mhm.
table in private, that we were bringing to the public. But we talk about social issues, we just life in general. It's a lot of fun. Even though it's called Fem Talk, we do incorporate the men. Dr. Brother Swab was also on that show as well, and we will be asking you to come back. But we just had last night some couples on there talking about relationships,
Yes.
marriage. It's a great
Yeah,
show.
that was great.
Yeah, they both are. I've had some amazing guests on both of them, and I'm just loving it.
Yes. Well, man, this has been a amazing broadcast. I'm so happy. I'm so blessed. And I hope that each and everyone who's tuned in was able to get empowered, learn something, because again, holistic living is not just a fad, but it's a lifestyle, and you got to take it serious. And just remember, you are your best person. You have to take care of yourself. And remember, you got one heart, one life, one soul. Protect it at all costs. So this is Dr. Brother Suave, research coach, Tracie. Listen, this has been an amazing broadcast. And just remember, great minds reach great places. I love you, and I mean it. Bye-bye.
Tune in and stream live now. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, is now being broadcast on NPN Voice. NPN Voice can be found on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, SoundCloud, and now on Audible and Amazon Music, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave, the podcast, now on NPN Voice. NPN Voice. Got voice. You heard? This program was made possible by Neighborhood Planet Broadcasting Systems, Neighborhood Planet Network, and from contributions to NPNTv from viewers like you.